Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're just going to sort of give it a minute or two and let everybody get in onto the webinar. All right. I think we'll go ahead and get started and just get through the beginning part of this while some people sort of come on in. So hi again, thanks for joining us for this webinar. So just a bit of a small summary of what this is going to be about. We're going to talk through what a softphone is and what Bria Enterprise as a product is. We'll also take a bit of a look at how provisioning works and how ordering works through ProView, along with some information about Alianza, formerly known as CounterPath. So my name is Ren. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I've worked for ProView for about 4 years now, and I look after Bria as a product. If you do come across any queries or opportunities, then don't hesitate to reach out to me specifically. We're going to put my details at the end of this webinar, where we'll be going through questions and stuff. So I guess I'll pass you over to the two men who are joining me today. We've got Jeroen and Dave. If you want to go ahead, Jeroen.
Yeah, thanks, Ren. So my name is Jeroen Achterberg. As you might hear from my name, I'm from the Netherlands, basically managing on behalf of Alianza the Bria business in the EMEA region, together with Dave. Working for CounterPath Alianza now for 4 years almost, and yeah, that's quickly from my side. Dave.
Thanks, Jeroen. I'm Dave Watkin. I've been with CounterPath and now Alianza, as we are now, for 9 years. I've served here as an SE and as a salesperson and done a bit of project management as well. I think I know the product rather well these days. And I'm here to support Jeroen in whatever's required for EMEA sales. And of course, our partners, ProView. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. And let's move on. So like I said, we will be having questions. What I would say is there is a box. I don't know if it's to the left or the right, but there will be a box for you to pop your questions in. Send that through. What we'll do is we'll look at them all at the end of the webinar. So don't worry if you put it through and no one says anything. We are going to get to it at the end. So a bit of information for ProView. If you're not familiar with us, we are actually turning 25 this year and we'll be popping out to the York races to celebrate that this weekend. ProView are the leading UK distributor of VoIP products, and we also specialise in comms, data and security products. We don't offer any competing services, and that just means that we don't sell to end users. We only really focus on MSPs, ITSPs, and hosted resellers. Bit of a brief look at ProView's vendors. What we want to be is we want to be your one-stop shop. So we want to provide you with zero-touch provisioning for your routers and your phones, custom branded or white-labeled shipping, and remote support services. To put it simply, it means you'd be able to order your router, get it provisioned and drop shipped along with any hardware you need straight to your customer's site for next day. And while that's on its way, you can get your Bria license and start provisioning, meaning you save time and money on shipping. A lovely photo of the ProView team. It has actually grown since we took this picture about a year ago. We've taken on 4 new members of staff since. I would say that we're all big tech nerds, so you'll never fail to find someone to talk about a specific product. If you want callers, say, who likes headsets? And someone will go, that's Ren, and then pass you through, basically. And with that, we shall move on and let Jeroen introduce Alianza as a company, and take it away, my friend.
Thank you very much, Ren. All right, so Alianza and CounterPath, what's the story there? So let's begin with a bit of background on the names Alianza, CounterPath, and Bria. So I think many of you may have already been familiar with Bria. So Bria is the soft phone that CounterPath developed back in 2002. So which basically set the industry standard for soft phones. So CounterPath's Bria comes in several versions. It includes Bria Solo, Bria Teams, and Bria Enterprise. In today's webinar, we'll be focusing on Bria Enterprise, which is our reseller product available through Offenset ProView. Now, where does Alianza come in then? So Alianza is a US-based company that provides voice over IP services across North America. And they are originally a customer of CounterPath, but Alianza basically appreciated the Bria softphone so much that they decided to acquire the entire company. So as a result, we are now part of Alianza, though we continue to sell Bria products in Europe. So that's what we're only selling in Europe for now. So here in your local time zone, we have a dedicated Bria and Strato team to support ProView and yourselves with pre-sales activities. Today, over 20 million Bria softphone clients are deployed, demonstrating that we are a proven enterprise-grade solution with more than 20 years of experience. We have a solid product roadmap as well, backed by a skilled team of software engineers ready to develop new features as market demands arise. And we're proud to count tier 1 telecommunication companies among our clients as well. And I think I already said it, but one point worth emphasizing is that the Bria softphones are our core focus in EMEA. So while other providers might prioritize their VoIP services and offer softphone basically as a side feature, our sole focus is on delivering the best softphone experience. This means that in the event of any kind of service interruptions, it will have our full attention. Next slide, please, Ren. All right, so how does Bria Enterprise add value? So as I mentioned earlier, Bria is the best-in-class softphone solution. It's deployed on over 20 million devices, and once it's set up, it works really reliably. Bria is compatible with any SIP voice platform, and making it therefore the standout choice for businesses that want flexibility to manage their own IT roadmap. So with Bria, you can seamlessly add unified communications to your existing voice services. A major advantage of Bria Enterprise is our centralized provisioning platform, Strato. Now, Dave will dive a bit into Strato in a bit more detail later in the webinar, but essentially, it allows you to lock down client settings, and this significantly reduces support tickets caused by configuration errors. In addition, the centralized provisioning, Strato, provides advanced quality reporting, analysis, and support tools that make it easier for your IT and support teams to resolve issues efficiently. So for example, if your support team, if there is an issue, they can remotely access a client setup to quickly diagnose any end user issues. Strato also helps you to save time and money. We offer APIs that automate provisioning for end users, and with LDAP integration, you can enable a one-touch provisioning using this Active Directory credentials. And finally, Bria Enterprise offers a flexible SaaS licensing model. Ben will cover the pricing details later in the webinar, but in summary, licenses are transferable, and with Strato, you can easily add, remove, or suspend users as you require. So, helping customers deploy solutions easily and efficiently. So to recap, Bria Enterprise helps your customers to deploy solutions easily and efficiently. Today, cloud-based solutions are crucial for small businesses, and Bria, combined with Strato, is designed to meet those needs. So since Bria is a cloud-based solution, it's cost-effective, there is no hardware to manage, no capex, and it's easily scalable. Licenses can be added or removed seamlessly, and this means that you can add a revenue stream to your business without holding any stock or any unnecessary cost. Security, of course, is a priority. I guess it goes without saying, but Bria is GDPR compliant, and the Stretto platform is accessible for anywhere, offering a full centralization. And as I mentioned earlier, Bria is optimized for small and medium-sized businesses. Its subscription-based model eliminates the need for any upfront investments, and all maintenance and updates are included in the monthly fees. Our offering also includes comprehensive support and training. We provide access to help and support center, quick start guides, video tutorials, user guides, and frequently asked questions. And in addition, ProView is available to assist you, and we at Alianza are ready to support ProView if further help is required. And Dave will do a deep dive in the technical bits. Look under
Thanks,
the hood.
Jeroen. Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with the softphone client rather than talking about the provisioning first. So the softphone client is the interface with users, and therefore it's incredibly important that we present an easy to use and consistent user interface across all the platforms. So Bria is available on Windows, Mac, Android, and iPhone. And although the operating systems for those different platforms present some differences that are unavoidable, it's really important to try and keep the experience as smooth and easy amongst or between those two platforms, or those four platforms rather, as possible. It makes using the product easier. In addition to making the product easy to use, of course, the quality of voice is important, and we've got a full range of codecs able to adapt to bandwidth requirement or bandwidth availability, and we can also add features like call recording and conferencing, etc., to add to that. As Jeroen mentioned, we offer secure communications. We support security protocols, as you would expect, and as Jeroen mentioned, we're also GDPR compliant. The fourth point on this slide, advanced interoperability. We are fully SIP compliant, and we will interface with basically any standards-based SIP platform. We also have APIs to interface to external platforms. So, for instance, an ACD or call center software to help that integration. Okay, thank you very much. All right, on top of the voice platform, also messaging services. So I think this is a way of working that we're all used to these days. We often begin conversations with an instant message, or even looking to see someone's presence, to see someone is available before we make a call. So the messaging service overlay that we're able to provide allows you to add unified comms through XMPP messaging and presence onto an existing voice service. You don't need to have that XMPP platform within your own environment. We overlay that on top of your voice service. That allows your users to see each other's presence, to send messages one-to-one, to create chat rooms and social channels where they can discuss shared work or groups of interest, and the ability to control their availability, so whether they're on Do Not Disturb or not. Very important this, if you're a worker like so many of us are these days, using multiple devices, and you've got Bria on those multiple devices, it's important that the messages that you've been sending and receiving are synchronized across all those devices. So we absolutely do support that. So just to recap on that one, the Stretto platform, which is underlying the provisioning side of Bria Enterprise, gives you the ability to overlay that XMPP messaging and presence platform with sync. Okay, thank you very much. So the other thing that Jeroen mentioned about Stretto is this ability to remotely provision, deploy, and manage. So one of the most troublesome things about deploying any SIP service is the login credentials or SIP credentials, and you don't want your users to have those. What you want to do is keep that sort of information centrally managed and centrally controlled, because otherwise people start to play about with their their SIP phones and perhaps misconfigure them. And you don't want to be configuring individual SIP phones as you roll them out. You want to be able to do it automatically and from a central point of control. And so Stretto does this. Stretto has a user interface where you can set and control several hundred different attributes and settings, although only a few are absolutely necessary in most cases, but there's a lot of granularity there. And I'll go through the process of provisioning in a minute, but effectively what it does is it takes all of that configuration work away from the end user, and all the end user needs to know is a simple username and password. And that username and password can be fully disconnected from their SIP credentials, or it can be bound through Active Directory to other passwords. So like a sort of almost like a single sign-on type environment. So once that user logs in using the Bria softphone, the softphone configures itself. The client settings are locked down. The user can't see the client settings in the client, so you can't look into the client and see what the SIP credentials are. And once they've logged in and been authenticated, they will then be configured, and the softphone will log into your voice service seamlessly without the user being involved any further. Once that's taken place, the voice traffic is between the SIP server and between peers on the voice platform. No voice goes through Stretto, so we're not sort of hairpinning any voice traffic. It's only sort of the setup for provisioning, but also we support something called RTCP XR, and that protocol allows us to provide some really powerful reporting and analytics tools for allowing you to see the quality of the service that you're providing to your users. So stuff like latency and jitter, what codecs are used, etc., dropped calls and all that kind of stuff. So really powerful way of looking into the system and being able to see how good the service is that you're providing. Okay. A little bit more about the Stretto centralized provisioning. So we have a number of different interfaces. There's the admin portal, which is accessed via a web browser. We have an LDAP interface out to, for instance, Active Directory, so you can offload that authentication process out to AD. We do have a command line interface for the die-hard technical fans out there. We have an API interface where you can build a seamless connection between Stretto and an external application, maybe a sign-on or sign-up process that you use for your users. And of course, you can upload in bulk your users to Stretto rather than having to create them one at a time. And quite often people, will begin by creating the first 10, and then once that's working and proven, then it's uploaded in bulk and makes life a lot easier. As I said, there are hundreds of settings in there, but you don't need to change them all, but it does give you a lot of granularity and a lot of ability to adapt to different environments. Okay, a little bit more detail about what's going on here. So we're going to assume for this kind of sort of timeline process that the Bria client is installed on a user device, that Stretto is already configured up in the cloud, and that you have an IPPBX ready for your users to use. In Stretto, you will set up the user or users, as I said, either via the bulk upload or individually, or whatever the suitable method is that you prefer. That user will then enter their login credentials, which they'll have been notified of by an email which comes out automatically from Stretto. So in my case, I would log in as dave.watkin@alianza.com and put in my password. That's sent by the Bria client to Stretto. Stretto will authenticate me either to its internal database or offload it via LDAP to Active Directory or some similar. And Stretto will reply with my set of SIP credentials and login credentials. That then equips the Bria client to contact your SIP server and log in. And at that point, voice communication can commence. And in the background, that RTCP XR protocol is sending information about the quality of the call back to Stretto and is visible through Stretto reports. So that's kind of it. I mean, it looks pretty simple on the face of it, and in fact it is, and it's absolutely seamless to the user. You don't see any of this as a user. You literally type username and password, hit return, and within the blink of an eye, the Bria client is set up and connected to your SIP service. Okay.
Some cool stuff. Well, thank you, Dave and Rowan, for
Thank you.
going through that. So the next part really is, how do we go ahead and get started? Like, how do I go forward to purchase Bria? So it's usually something I tend to have a chat with you over the phone about, so we can kind of go through it. But I'll do my best to condense this into these next 3 slides for you. So to start, we need to make your master reseller domain. Now, this is usually just your company name. So it'd be, proview.co.uk. This is essentially your personal account in which you'll add continuous licenses to. So then we need to have the conversation about subdomains. I'm going to say the word domain a lot, so just bear with me. You've got 2 options how you want to do that. So you can either choose option 1, which would be to have one singular subdomain under your master domain, and then pool your licenses into that group. That would mean, though, that you're provisioning each license individually to hand out to specific customers. This kind of works best for people who provide solely to like one-man band type businesses. That's the only situation in which where I see that occur. Option 2, which is generally the most frequent and the most popular way that people do this, is they create a subdomain per end user that you're selling it to. It just helps you keep on top of which end user is using what, how many licenses are in use, and also offers an easier solution to that bulk provisioning experience that Dave mentioned earlier. A small little side bit I'd like to mention, because I don't think a lot of people know, is that if you ever did come across either an end user who wants to do their own provisioning and don't want you to do it, they just want to buy it, or a reseller even that wants to buy it through you and do their own stuff, there is an option to create a sub reseller domain that would have their own subdomains within it. You can give your customer access to that without them having access to your other external, customers, nothing to do with them. It's like a little private folder inside your master domain, just for that one customer to have the freedom to do what they want to do provisioning wise. You'd still need to come to ProView to buy the licenses for them and all that, but it's just worth mentioning that that is something you can do as an additional feature of Bria. There is no limit to the amount of subdomains you can have overall. However, each one is fixed to a license type and a billing type. We can change it at later dates billing wise, but generally we'd have a chat when you're making the new customer domain and talk about whether you want it to be monthly, annual, user, or device. So we'll actually move on and talk about the license types now. So you've got 2 types of license and 4 options overall. The device licenses are made for users who will only ever really use one device, like a mobile or a laptop, desktop, and don't really stray away from that style of working. The user licenses are made for people who move around more, maybe have a bit more of a flexible style, which is quite normal nowadays. Generally, those are the more popular choice of purchase. There are only 2 real differences to note. The first one being, obviously, that you can see at the top here that the number of devices you can have is limited on device licenses because they only need one device. So it makes it cheaper, allowing for that ability to just, cut a little bit of cost. The user licenses can take 4 devices per license, meaning, they can have their work mobile, they can have their work laptop, and then if they wanted to have a tablet as well, they could do that. So that's the first difference to note. The second difference is that the standard license is the only one to have hosted messaging, presence, and that directory, which makes it the most popular generally, and especially in terms of wanting that collaborative working experience within a team of people. As Dave mentioned earlier, it's good to be able to see when people are online and whatnot. So the last part of this conversation is of the billing side. It's pretty straightforward. So we have annual and monthly billing. The annual billing starts from the date that you add your first license to that specific subdomain. Any licenses we add between that date and the actual renewal in the next year will be prorated, making sure you're only paying for what you're using. Monthly billing is simple too. So you use the license, you buy the license at any time, and then we add it to your subdomain, and then we bill on the 1st of every month for the monthly ones. The billing type is really, it's set up to work for how you bill your end user. So some people don't want to pay upfront for 12 months, which is where monthly comes in handy. It means, you know, if you have someone who drops out after 6 months of service, you don't have to worry about being locked into that 12-month purchase that you made. And with that, onto the final little bit of information. We do offer trial licenses. You can get yourself a trial license for 2 weeks to play around with, get yourself familiar with how the provisioning works, what the bulk provisioning looks like, and just how the product feels as a whole, because it's always good to try what you're going to sell. This trial domain will have 5 standard licenses on it, so you can, like, you know, play around with calling other people and all that jazz. We can also arrange a demo from myself and one of the members in the support team. If you struggle with any matter of provisioning, that Alianza have lots of material to help you around the provisioning stuff, but if you find that that's not working for you, we're more than happy to hop onto a demo and assist with any questions you might have. And again, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us and for listening to me say domain a lot. And we're kind of on to the questions side of the webinar. And to which, let's have a look on here. I might need Dave or your own for some of these when they come up.
Sure, ready when you are.
Cool. So we have a question on what looks like white labeling. So do you white label on applications?
Yes, we can offer a white labeling service. It's done through a web portal and is pretty slick and smooth. It's not part of the standard kind of pricing that you've put up, so it would need to be a separate conversation to go through. But yeah, absolutely we do, and we're able to upload your logos and images, choose colors, and turn certain features on and off as required. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, again, if you're interested in that, just give us a call. My number's on the screen right now, so you can just take note of that and give me a bell. Are there any platforms you're not compatible with? Is the second question. So it seems fully compatible.
Yeah, so I presume the question is about SIP platforms rather than device operating systems. So basically, anything that's SIP compliant will work with. There are some wrinkles with some people's platforms. I mean, Cisco was always famous for having kind of features over and above the standard SIP, but in general, yes, we do. We used to do a lot of interoperability testing, and we may have, depends what you're looking to interop with, but all of the usual suspects we absolutely do. So yeah, absolutely. The exception would have to be the unusual rule. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. It looks like there's 2 more. So we've got one. Does it integrate with wireless headsets to push and answer? I think they mean like you know, push to talk kind of a thing.
Yeah. So we do integrate with headsets. The integration is usually around the integration software that the headset provider has. And there are many different, as I'm sure you all know, there are many different versions of headsets and different manufacturers. My advice would be to tell us what it is you want to use and we'll advise you. But in general, yes, absolutely. And most of us do use wireless headsets. Most of us do, yeah.
Cool. And then the last question I can see is someone's asking if it's backwards compatible. I think maybe in terms of firmware, possibly.
Yeah. So in terms of operating system on the device, we tend to support 3 or 4 back, but with Android and with iOS, it is around, well, but certainly with Android, it's about the number of deployed versions still. So we will keep going until a certain level of deployment is reached. So I'm not explaining myself very well here. So basically, if there's the long and the short of it is, if there's lots of people still on it, we probably still support it. But it's usually backwards compatible on an N minus whatever it is, usually 2 or 3 versions.
So if that comes up as a question, maybe best just to give us a call and ask.
Yeah,
and we'll just run it through them.
I mean, with iOS, it's not such a thing, but with Android, there are devices out there that have got old versions of Android on. So please, yeah, if you've got one that's old and you think you're concerned about it, please consult with us, and the guys at ProView can talk to me and the rest of the team at Alianza, and we can answer the question on the time. But yeah, we go back a few versions for each platform, always.
Cool. Well, that seems to be all the questions. This isn't the end, though. If you do have any more questions, just email or call, and we're more than happy to. I'll sit and spend some time with you. If you want to talk to Dave more or Jeroen more, I can absolutely make them do that. So
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody again, for joining, and I hope this was fruitful. And get in touch. Thank you very much, guys, and see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ren and ProView. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Ren.
Okay.
All right.